All right, so welcome back to Inspiration Education.
Welcome back. What episode is this, Cassie?
14.
Holy cow, 14.
Holy cannolis.
You waited 14 to finally get me involved? Is that what that's
about? Zinger.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let us introduce to you Kyle Coffin. He's our freshman Bible teacher, affectionately known as PK.
PK.
Because he's also Pastor Kyle.
That's right.
Yep.
But he is also an educator, just so you all know.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so this week we have taken you into his Bible classroom, and his lesson for the day was?
Wrestling with God.
Yes.
Jacob, wrestling with God. We're going through the patriarchs. So it's fun. It gets the kids moving. So it's been a good time this week. Yeah.
Now, if you're not in a faith-based school, don't just turn it off, okay?
Right.
There is a lesson far outside of a faith-based topic here, okay?
Right.
So don't tune us out.
So watch these clips, and then, there might be a little shock and horror going on. But we promise no children were harmed in the creation of this film.
We certainly hope so. Long term anyway, yeah.
And we'll be back to debrief you on the whole point of it all.
Exactly.
Wrestling with God is something that he does with Jacob. Then we've got lots of stories in Scripture where God allows for his people to go, wait, what the heck? And with respect, wrestle with God. In Jacob's case, it was literal, which is where we're at in the Bible story right now in our class, and so that's why we're doing this today. So keep that in your mind, guys, as we're watching this, all right? Respect of God and God's respect of you as he wrestles with you as well, all right? Here we go. Ready?
How long is this thing?
As long as you want, baby. Go!
It's too far.
Out of the way, Mercy.
Mercy, get your shoulders off the mat. Get your shoulders off the mat.
Attaboy.
Mercy, all you have to do is get out. Don't let him get your legs. Don't let him get your legs.
Get his legs.
I don't have any legs for yours. Mercy, don't let him get your legs.
Mercy can't get his arm around his leg. Come on.
Back of the day, baby. I think that because he was doing such great coaching, that Parker should.
Oh, yeah?
Are you ready? Shake hands.
Come on, Parker. Peter, blind him with your head.
I don't want to leave. This is funny.
Come on, Nick.
Get him.
Parker, you want to wrestle?
Under you. You can do it.
Oh, there he is.
You can stay right here.
Dude, get up under him. Come on.
Whoa. Dude. Well done.
If I were one of them, I'd just take off the belt and start whacking me up. No, I'd quit winning.
There we go, Hunter.
It's the Hunter.
Hunter, break her up the middle.
Way to be here.
I was a master of sports wrestling.
I don't know how they did this all the way. 1, 2.
Attaboy, give a hand.
Okay.
How was that? That was so much fun.
Welcome back.
Battle scars, big time. Yeah. Goodness.
So set it up for us, Kyle. Who was the gentleman, the mentor that was obviously there that had brought in the wrestling mat?
Yeah, so that's my friend Travis DeGroat. Goes to our church. Travis is a very big boy, as you guys. I mean, he's wide. And so the kids were a little intimidated. Being able to wrestle with somebody bigger than you was kind of the idea, right? And then that it was okay to wrestle with God, because that's the whole point of Jacob's life, is that he, in the middle of his life, he finds himself in this place where he's going to probably lose everything, and so God shows up and wrestles with him all night long, and he comes away with there with a broken hip, but he also comes away with them with that going, hey, I can actually shout out to God, I can wrestle with him, I can say, hey, what's going on? There's a point, and we may have seen it in the video there, where there's a point where God says, no, now you've crossed the line. Don't tell me how to do my job. Don't call me names. Don't. But when you're really, you really want to know why you're going through something really difficult, whether you're a believer or not.
We wrestle.
We wrestle every day with stuff, and we ask the powers that be, like, what the heck, right? So.
Yeah.
Well, and I think a recurring theme that I saw in all of the wrestling was a deep respect for each other. It started with a handshake. It ended with a handshake.
So good.
And even when they were down, they would pat each other in the back.
And the kids never forget. They'll never forget this. I had juniors coming in. We did it 2 years ago. I think every single junior that I had came into the classrum again, got excuses from their teachers or whatever to come into the classson again and either ask me to wrestle again, because they get to wrestle somebody. But they'll never forget this point. I can wrestle with God. And it's okay.
You did see that in the classroom. There was a range from freshmen all the way into seniors in the classroom to watch it. Yeah. That making it memorable. At the end of this session right here, you're going to see I'm going to add in a couple of clips from our students who had participated in the wrestling. And that is something that they mentioned to me, is that it is something that is truly memorable for them. And that's actually the title of this video, is Make Education Memorable.
Yes.
So for example, in your lesson, you didn't get the privilege of seeing this because I had to cut some of that out for the sake of time. But PK, you had 4 different modalities of teaching in your classroom going on. Right. You had a short lecture.
Right. You
had role play going on. This was all before the wrestling started.
Right.
You showed a video.
Right.
And then finally, you had actual active participation.
The kinesthetic aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Right. And so with that kind of thing makes the education really memorable.
Memorable. Absolutely. Don't forget it. They won't.
Right.
Yeah, they'll tell their kids and grandkids about it sometime, maybe, or have a wrestling match in their own living room when their kids are going through something, or, that kind of thing. Just
Our
keep it going.
admissions director, he's from the class of 07. We asked him the other day, what do you remember? And he's like, oh, and he just started talking about it as something that was really important memory for him.
That's awesome.
As well.
Something else I think that we want to make sure that you understand is that wrestling in Bible class is not something that we just did for this vlog. This is not a first year thing. This actually goes back, about, Chan, like 15-ish years?
Our Old Testament teacher, her husband, who was our headmaster, he was a wrestling coach. So again, it was done from a very respectful manner out of the knowledge of the sport and like you pointed out earlier, teaching the gentleman aspect of it.
Right. And he would get down on there and wrestle them.
And he would actually wrestle them.
I had a lot of kids asking, hey, aren't you going to wrestle, Pastor? I said, I am way past wrestling. These arthritic bones don't even get on the floor anymore, so there's that.
But Mr. O'Hare, our former headmaster who you're speaking of, how old was he when he was actually out there in the grass with our students, literally wrestling with our students?
Right? Yeah.
So again, we know this is not something you can do at your school, but what are ways that you can intentionally think about doing something that's completely out of the box that kids will always remember and think of it in a traditional sense? This is something that kids coming up in your school might even look forward to.
Yep.
Something that just came to my mind as Chan is speaking is an example maybe in the elementary class of making learning memorable. My own children at the other campus, they just finished a Bible and history collaboration project where they had to make a model of the tabernacle. So again, that's biblical integration, but you can make models. So then I thought, as a history teacher, what can I have them make a replica of? Maybe Washington, D.C. or the Lincoln Monument or who knows what it is. Sure. But my own kids were so engrossed in what does a laver look like? What are all these things that are in the tabernacle and how big are they actually? And what people wash their feet there too? I mean, just the weirdest things that come up that they learn and they'll remember that.
Yeah.
So
memorable.
Right on.
Okay.
So take home message, go for creativity and innovation and make it memorable.
Yes.
Again, I think you're starting to see a repeat pattern. Please step away from long lectures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get your kids involved.
Yeah,
Let your kids do the teaching and the learning.
Amen.
Will come
That's
from
exactly
that.
how they
That's
learn.
right.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, PK, for coming
Thanks for
in.
having me.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So I'm just gonna start off with saying what we did. So we wrestled for the sake of demonstrating Jacob wrestling God for, I think it was 12 hours at night, and God was just trying to leave, and Jacob was holding on to him and just fighting for dear life. And I think we all experienced the fact that wrestling is incredibly tiring, and doing that for 12 hours as Jacob did, and about halfway through, Jacob dislocated his hip, and he still held on to God and was still fighting with everything he had. And all of us, I think the longest round any of us did was like 3 or 4 minutes, and it was still incredibly tiring.
I feel like the thing that he was trying to teach us was that he could have beat us so easy, you know, just like God could have beat Jacob very, very easy.
Yeah.
But he just wanted to show us that it's okay to wrestle with God, and that sometimes it is okay, but it's okay, and you need to still keep holding on and just hold on to God like Jacob did.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's incredible how much long that Jacob wrestled with God, because I wrestled with the guy, and we wrestled like for 3 minutes, and after 3 minutes I was like exhausted, and I got lightheaded, and it was just like very tiring. So
I was noticeably sore like 4 days after.
Yeah, my back still hurts.
And like I also like Jacob was very patient and like loving person, because like if Jacob wasn't patient, then he couldn't wrestle with him for like, you know, overnight. And then also like he wasn't proud of himself or like, you know, arrogant by himself, because when I wrestled with Levi, you know, I thought he was just fresh man, it's like that I could beat him easily, but like he was a rough partner. So like, I learned like lesson that, you know, it doesn't matter who you're wrestling with, it matters at how patient you are and like how humble you are.
The fact that Jacob wrestled with God all night up until the daytime, and he was still gonna go at it with God, and you know, the only reason why he stopped was because he broke his hip, and that just gives me a whole new view to that chapter, and just how much Jacob wanted that blessing, and how much he wanted to be validated by God.